child's desperate text for her baby brother's formula, sent by mistake, lands on a billionaire's private phone. One wrong number is about to change their worlds forever. Desperation has a sound. For 10-year-old Chloe, it was the thin, hungry cry of her baby brother and the sound of her mother scraping the last dusty powder from an empty formula canister. With only $3.41 in the bank and an eviction notice on the door, her mother's pride wouldn't let her beg for help. So Chloe did it for her. She grabbed her mother's phone to text her uncle for $40, just enough for the baby formula. But in her haste, she mistyped one single digit. 3 miles away, in a skyscraper office, the private phone of a ruthless billionaire CEO buzzed, and a message from a stranger appeared, begging for money for a baby named Leo. And where in the world are you watching from today? Let me know in the comments below. I truly hope you enjoy the story. A 10-year-old girl held her breath, ready to save her family with a single text. Her mother, Sarah, stared at the eviction notice taped to their apartment door, her pride the only thing she had left. But pride could not feed her baby son. 10-year-old Chloe Jensen watched her mother, Sarah, from the doorway of their cramped kitchen. Sarah's hands were shaking as she held the canister of baby formula. It was almost empty. Chloe watched as her mother scooped out the last dusty bit of powder, scraped the sides, and then added far too much water to the bottle. Leo, her 6-month-old baby brother, fussed in his bassinet in the living room. His cries were thin and hungry. "Mom?" Chloe asked, her small voice cutting through the tension. Her blonde hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail. Sarah flinched, startled. She quickly screwed the cap onto the bottle, hiding the watery, pale blue liquid. "It's okay, honey. Leo's just fussy." "He's hungry, Mom," Chloe said. It wasn't an accusation. It was a fact. Tears sprang to Sarah's eyes, hot and angry. She hated this. She hated the desperation. She hated the chipped laminate countertop and the peeling paint. Most of all, she hated the fear. She had exactly $3.41 in her checking account. Her freelance bookkeeping clients had dried up. The cleaning jobs she took for cash barely covered the electricity. On the wall above their tiny dining table hung a framed photograph. It was her grandfather, General Michael "Iron Mike" Jensen. He was a war hero, a man who had faced down enemies and commanded armies. His stern, proud face seemed to look at her with disappointment. "Jensens don't fold," he had always said. "We don't beg." "I'll handle it, Chloe," Sarah said, her voice tight. "Go read your book." But Chloe didn't move. She had seen the eviction notice. She knew her mother had been laid off from the accounting firm 2 months ago. She knew her uncle Mark, Sarah's brother, had just moved to Texas for a new job. As Sarah went to pick up the crying baby, Chloe made a decision. She crept over to her mother's worn-out purse and pulled out the phone. She knew her mother had just saved Uncle Mark's new number. Her fingers flew across the screen, her small face set with determination. She typed, "Uncle Mark, it's Chloe. Mom won't ask. We need $40 for Leo's formula. Please. Mom gets paid from the cleaning job on Friday. I swear she'll pay you back." She hit send before her courage could fail her. 3 miles away, in a glass office that overlooked the entire city, Arthur Vance's phone buzzed. He ignored it. The 45-year-old CEO of Vance Holdings was in the middle of a hostile negotiation. His desk was a slab of dark, polished mahogany. His suit was worth more than Sarah's rent for a year. "The board will not accept a lower valuation, Vincent," Arthur said, his voice a low growl. His chief financial officer, Vincent Thorne, shifted in his seat. "Arthur, the numbers are soft. If we push too hard, they'll walk," Vincent argued. "Then let them walk," Arthur said. He ran a hand through his thick, salt and pepper hair. He was tired. Tired of the meetings, tired of the numbers, and tired of the empty penthouse he went home to every night. His phone buzzed again. An insistent, annoying sound. "Excuse me," he said, cutting Vincent off. He picked up the phone, expecting an update from the legal team. Instead, he saw the message from an unknown number. "Uncle Mark, it's Chloe. Mom won't ask. We need $40 for Leo's formula." Arthur frowned. He read the message twice. His brow furrowed in annoyance. A wrong number. A pathetic, desperate wrong number. He was about to delete it when the name Leo caught his eye. His heart gave a painful lurch. His daughter, Emily, who had been gone for 5 long years, had a stuffed lion. She had named it Leo. He shook the memory away. It was a coincidence. But something about the raw desperation in the text, the 10-year-old girl trying to protect her mother, made him pause. He typed a quick reply. I think you have the wrong number. I'm not Mark. In the apartment, Chloe stared at her mother's phone, her heart sinking. The reply popped up. Sarah, who was walking Leo back and forth, heard the ping. Who is that, Chloe? Is that your teacher? I don't know. Chloe stammered. Sarah put the baby down and walked over. She read the reply, then saw the message her daughter had sent. Her face went pale with mortification. Chloe, no? What did you do? Sarah cried, grabbing the phone. You typed the number wrong. You sent this to a stranger. Chloe's eyes filled with tears. I just wanted to help. Leo is hungry. I know, Sarah whispered, pulling her daughter into a fierce hug. The shame was so thick she could barely breathe. She felt her grandfather's eyes on her from the photograph. We don't beg. Her hands trembled as she typed a reply to the stranger. I am so deeply sorry. My daughter sent that by mistake. Please delete it. Wrong number. She tossed the phone onto the couch as if it were on fire. She buried her face in her hands. She had failed. She was a failure as a mother, a failure as a bookkeeper, and a failure as a Jensen. Arthur Vance read the apology. My daughter sent that. He should have let it go. He should have called Vincent back into his office and finished the merger details. This was not his problem. He had enough of his own. But he couldn't shake the image of a child. A hungry baby. A desperate mother. He thought of Emily. He thought of the weeks he had spent in the hospital, willing to give every dollar he had, every building he owned, just for one more day. His fortune had been useless then. He surprised himself by typing again. Is the baby okay? Sarah's phone pinged. She stared at it, confused. Why would this person write back? Her first instinct was fear. She had heard stories. Strangers on the internet. Predators. But exhaustion and desperation were stronger than her fear. She picked up the phone. We will manage, she typed curtly. Sorry to have bothered you. The reply was almost instant. It's no bother. I can help. Sarah snorted. Help. In her experience, help from a man always came with strings. Heavy, suffocating strings. I don't accept money from strangers, she replied. In his office, Arthur almost smiled. He respected that. She had pride. My name is Arthur, he typed. Now I'm not a stranger. What kind of formula does Leo need? Sarah's breath caught. He was being kind. But the suspicion remained. Why would you do this? You don't know me. Arthur looked out his window at the city skyline. His CFO would say he was avoiding work. His ex-wife would say he was being impulsive. They were both right. Let's just say I understand what it means to worry about a child, he wrote. And I'm in a position to help. Please, just let me send you the $40. The simple please broke through Sarah's armor. It wasn't a command. It was a request. Her exhaustion made the decision for her. Leo was starting to cry again. Similac sensitive, she typed. It's the only one he can keep down. It's the expensive one. She hated admitting that. What's your Venmo or Zelle? Sarah hesitated. What did she have to lose? Her pride was already shattered. She could block him if he became strange. She sent her Venmo username, SJ Finance. Her profile picture was a simple blue square with the letters SJ. Arthur opened his banking app. His finger hovered over the keypad. $40. He thought about the watery formula Chloe's mother was probably using. He thought about the shame in that last text. $40 wouldn't fix the problem. It would only patch it for 2 days. This wasn't about $40. It was about the hollowness in his own chest. It was about the ghost of a little girl with a stuffed lion. He typed, $500. He hit send. Sarah's phone buzzed with the notification. She opened the app, expecting to see $40. She gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. Arthur Vance sent you $500. Mom, Chloe asked, peering around the corner. Sarah sank onto her threadbare couch. She couldn't speak. The tears that she had held back for weeks, when she was laid off, when her brother moved, when the eviction notice appeared, finally came. She wept, silent, racking sobs for her failure, and for this impossible, terrifying kindness. She fumbled with the phone. This is too much. I can't accept this. I only needed $40. I will send the rest back. Buy groceries, Arthur replied. And buy something for your daughter. Consider it a loan. Pay it back when you can. Just take care of your children. Sarah stared at the words, her vision blurry. Thank you, she typed. I don't know what to say. Thank you, Arthur. The reply came a moment later. You're welcome, Sarah. Take care of Leo. Sarah's crying stopped instantly. A chill, colder than the winter air outside, crept up her spine. Her blood ran cold. She looked at the phone, her heart pounding against her ribs. She scrolled up. Chloe had written Leo's formula in the first text, so he knew the baby's name. But she had never, ever typed her own name. She frantically checked her Venmo account. The username was SJ Finance. The name on the account was just S. Jensen. The profile picture was the generic blue logo. There was no way he could know her name was Sarah. "Mom, what's wrong?" Chloe asked, seeing the color drain from her mother's face. Sarah shook her head, trying to breathe. Who was this man? In his penthouse office, Arthur Vance stared at his phone. He hadn't meant to frighten her. "You're welcome, Sarah. Take care of Leo." He'd typed the name without thinking. When her Venmo notification had popped up, S. Jensen, a flicker of curiosity had made him act. He was a man who dealt in information. It was his greatest weapon in the boardroom. He had buzzed his assistant, Martha. "Martha, I have a phone number and a Venmo username. SJ Finance and S. Jensen. I need to know who this is. It's a personal matter. Be discreet." Martha, who had been with him for 20 years and knew about Emily, simply nodded. "Of course, Mr. Vance." 5 minutes later, a file was on his screen. The phone number was registered to Sarah Jensen. The Venmo account was linked to a closed freelance bookkeeping business. A quick search of public records showed an address in a low-income neighborhood. A lien on her car. A recent layoff from a mid-level accounting firm. And then he saw her listed relative, Michael, Iron Mike, Jensen. Arthur leaned forward. He knew that name. Everyone knew that name. General Jensen was a legend, a man of profound, unshakable integrity from the last Great War. Arthur's own father had served under him. He had grown up hearing stories of Iron Mike's tactical brilliance and, more importantly, his honor. This was the general's granddaughter? Desperate for $40 in baby formula? The disconnect was jarring. He looked at the photo attached to her old business profile. A tired but intelligent-looking woman with kind eyes. And standing next to her, a small, blonde-haired girl. Chloe. He had sent the $500. Then, he had looked up Mark Jensen in his own company's new employee database. Vance Holdings had just acquired a small tech firm in Austin. And there, on the list of new HR personnel, was Mark Jensen. He cross-referenced the phone number. Chloe had mistyped one single digit. He hadn't intended to find all this. But now that he had, he couldn't just walk away. His problem with Vincent Thorne, his CFO, was growing. He suspected Vincent was skimming, burying losses in acquisition accounts. But Vincent was smart, and he controlled the entire finance department. Arthur needed an outsider. Someone with no connections, who was smart, and who was desperate. He had meant to type, "Take care of Leo." But his mind had been on Sarah Jensen, and the name had slipped out. He saw her read receipt. Then nothing. He had scared her. Idiot, he muttered to himself. He would give her space. He would let the money solve her immediate problem. Tomorrow, he would propose a real solution. Sarah's apartment felt small and dangerous. The $500 in her Venmo account felt like an accusation. "Who is he, Mom?" Chloe asked again, her voice trembling. "Did I do something bad?" "No, baby, no." Sarah pulled Chloe onto her lap, her heart hammering. "You were trying to help. I don't understand how he knows my name." She spent the night on the couch, watching Leo sleep in his bassinet. The baby's breathing was soft, but his occasional hungry fussing was a knife in her heart. She stared at the picture of her grandfather. "I'm sorry, Grandpa," she whispered to the frame. "I'm so lost." She thought of the stranger, Arthur. Was this a trick? Would he show up at her door? Had she put her children in danger, all for $500? She considered sending the money back. But the canister of formula on the counter was empty. Utterly, completely empty. Leo would wake up in a few hours, and she would have nothing for him. By dawn, the desperation had won out over the fear. She would not let her son starve because of her pride. She transferred $100 to her checking account. Just enough for the formula, diapers, and food for the week. The rest she would leave untouched. She would document it, like a loan. She would pay it back. Every cent. She dressed Chloe for school and bundled Leo into his carrier. The morning air was cold. She clutched her keys, ready to walk to the grocery store, when her phone pinged. Her stomach dropped. It was him. "Arthur. Good morning. I hope you and the children are well. I owe you an explanation." Sarah stared at the message, her fingers frozen. I apologize, the next text came. I didn't mean to frighten you. My name is Arthur Vance. When your Venmo account showed the name S. Jensen, I became curious. I am an admirer of General Michael Jensen. I wondered if there was a connection. Sarah's breath hitched. He was my grandfather. He was a great man. My father served with him. This was not what she expected. The fear receded, replaced by confusion. That still doesn't explain. She started to type. It doesn't, he replied immediately. But this will. The number your daughter meant to dial is 1 digit off from an employee of mine, Mark Jensen. Your brother. How do you know he's my brother? He works in HR at a company I recently acquired. When I realized the coincidence, the wrong number, the Jensen name, I asked him this morning if he had a sister named Sarah. He was very concerned. He said you were a brilliant accountant who had been recently laid off. He mentioned you had a young daughter and a new baby. Sarah sank onto her couch. Mark, it was all a coincidence. An insane, unbelievable coincidence. The relief was so profound, it made her dizzy. He wasn't a predator. He was just connected. Mom, Chloe asked, tying her shoe. We're going to be late. 1 minute. Honey, Sarah said, her eyes glued to the phone. Another message from Arthur appeared. Sarah, the reason I'm texting is not just to explain. It's to make a proposition. A professional one. My company, Vance Holdings, is in the middle of a complex merger. I have some financial records I need audited by a third party. Someone discreet, with no ties to my current finance department. What kind of project? She typed, her old bookkeeping instincts kicking in. A 3-month contract. I need someone to reconcile acquisition accounts. The work is confidential. Given your grandfather's legacy and your brother's high praise for your skills, I thought of you. The pay is significant, and you could work from home, given your situation with Leo. Sarah's mind raced. A job. A real accounting job. From home. It was too good to be true. It was a lifeline. And the $500? She asked, her pride stinging. A signing bonus. Or a gift from one admirer of General Jensen to another. Whichever makes you more comfortable. We can discuss the details in person. My office, tomorrow. 10 a.m. I'll have my assistant send you a car. A car. An office. A job. Yesterday, she was watering down formula. Today, a billionaire CEO who knew her grandfather was offering her a position. Why me? She typed. You don't know me. I know you're General Jensen's granddaughter. I know you're an accountant. And I know you have too much pride to ask for help, even when you need it. That's exactly the kind of person I want looking at my books. He was right. She did have pride. And right now, that pride was telling her to take this chance. To earn her way out of this hole, just as her grandfather would have. Chloe, Sarah said, her voice stronger than it had been in months. Let's go buy Leo some breakfast. And then, I need to get a new blazer. Why? Because, sweetie, Sarah said, picking up the baby carrier. Mommy has a job interview. The next morning, a Blacktown car, precisely on time, idled outside her apartment building. Sarah, dressed in her one good blazer, a navy blue relic from her old job, hastily pressed, felt a wave of intense self-consciousness. Her neighbors, shuffling to the bus stop, stared. She buckled Chloe into her car seat, which she'd transferred from her own beat-up sedan. The town car was spotless, smelling of leather and polish. Leo was in his carrier at her feet. Wow, Mom, Chloe whispered, her eyes wide as they pulled away from the curb. Is this a limousine? No, honey. It's just a very nice car. Sarah's heart hammered. She felt like an imposter, a Cinderella whose carriage would turn back into a pumpkin at any moment. They arrived at Vance Holdings, a skyscraper of gleaming black glass that seemed to pierce the clouds. The lobby was a cavern of white marble and hushed efficiency. A security guard, spotting her and the children, looked confused until she gave her name. Ms. Jensen, Mr. Vance is expecting you. 50th floor. The elevator ride was silent and swift, making her ears pop. When the doors opened, she stepped into an oasis of calm. The carpets were thick, the art on the walls was original, and the view took her breath away. A woman in her late 60s, with perfectly coiffed silver hair and an impeccably tailored suit, sat at a large desk. She looked, Sarah thought, like a hawk guarding a fortress. Ms. Jensen, I'm Martha, Mr. Vance's executive assistant. Her voice was crisp, not unkind, but devoid of warmth. She glanced at Chloe and the baby carrier. He mentioned you would be bringing your children. I'm sorry, I don't have childcare on such short notice, Sarah said, her chin lifting. It's not a problem. Mr. Vance has arranged a conference room for you. Please, come this way. She led them not to Arthur's office, but to a smaller, glass-walled room with a table, comfortable chairs, and a box of new toys on the floor. Chloe gasped. You can get settled. Mr. Vance will be with you shortly. Martha paused at the door. He's in a meeting with Mr. Thorne, our CFO. The way she said the name, Mr. Thorne, was subtle, but Sarah, an expert in reading between lines, heard the faint note of distaste. Sarah set Leo's carrier on a chair, and Chloe immediately, and quietly, went for the toys. Sarah took a deep breath, trying to steady her nerves. This was an office. She knew offices. The door opened. Arthur Vance was taller than she expected. He wore a dark gray suit, no tie, and his salt and pepper hair was slightly rumpled, as if he'd been running his hands through it. He looked more like a restless predator than a polished CEO. His eyes, a sharp, intelligent gray, met hers. Sarah, thank you for coming. He didn't offer to shake her hand, which she was grateful for, as hers were damp. Mr. Vance, thank you for this, she gestured to the room. Arthur, please, have a seat. He sat opposite her, ignoring the toys and the baby. He was all business. I'll be direct. I don't trust my chief financial officer, Vincent Thorne. Sarah's eyes widened. This was not a subtle accusation. For 6 months, Arthur continued, leaning forward. I felt he is hiding something. Small discrepancies. Profits from acquisitions that seem to vanish into restructuring fees or integration costs. The numbers are always clean. Too clean. My internal auditors, who all report to him, find nothing. I need a fresh set of eyes. Eyes that don't owe him anything. He slid a tablet across the table. These are the finalized ledgers from the Austin Tech acquisition. The one your brother works for. Vincent signed off on them yesterday. Sarah, suddenly, was no longer a desperate mother. She was an accountant. This, she understood. She picked up the tablet. Her fingers flew, scrolling through spreadsheets, cross-referencing summaries with line-item expenditures. Her brain, rusty and tired, clicked into gear. For 5 minutes, the only sound was the clicking of the tablet and Chloe's quiet play. Here, Sarah said, pointing to a row of code. This transfer, Goodwill Asset Integration. The amount is $1.2 million, but it's coded as a marketing expense, not a capital expenditure. That buries it in the operational budget. It looks like a slush fund. Arthur stared at her. He had given that file to 3 independent auditors. None had found it that quickly. And here, Sarah continued, her voice gaining confidence. These travel reimbursements. They're bundled. $250,000. There are no receipts itemized. It's just a lump sum approved by Vincent's office. That's not just sloppy. It's deliberate. Arthur Vance felt the first genuine flicker of hope he'd had in months. She was good. She was very good. That's exactly it, he said. Why not just fire him? Sarah asked, looking up. Because he's woven himself into the company. He controls our credit lines. If I move on him without concrete, undeniable proof, he'll paint me as an unstable CEO. Our stock will plummet, and the board, which he has spent years charming, will replace me. I need the gun. The smoking gun. I believe he's been doing this for years, but this Austin acquisition, he got sloppy. Before Sarah could respond, the door to the conference room opened without a knock. A man stood there, impeccably dressed in a suit that looked painted on. He was handsome, with slick, dark hair and a smile that didn't reach his cold, calculating eyes. Arthur, he said, his voice smooth as silk. I was told you were in here. I have the quarterly projections you. He stopped, his eyes landing on Sarah, then on Chloe, then on the baby. His smile faltered, replaced by a look of faint, dismissive curiosity. Vincent, Arthur said, his voice flat. This is Sarah Jensen. She'll be conducting the third-party audit on the Austin acquisition. Vincent Thorne's gaze snapped back to Sarah. It was sharp, like a physical strike. An audit? I wasn't aware we were bringing in a consultant. A new precaution, Vincent. Board request. Arthur lied smoothly. Ms. Jensen comes highly recommended. Vincent held his smile, but his eyes were ice. He looked Sarah up and down, taking in her discount store blazer and the clear exhaustion in her face. He saw no threat. He saw a cleaning woman who had wandered into the wrong room. Ms. Jensen, he said, the name dripping with condescension. A pleasure. I'm sure my team will provide you with anything you need. Though I must say, our books are immaculate. You'll find your time here very boring. I'll be the judge of that, Mr. Thorne, Sarah said, her voice quiet but firm. She held his gaze. The shift in the room was electric. Vincent's smile tightened. He had expected her to be cowed. She wasn't. Of course, he said. He placed his file on the table. Arthur, my projections. He turned and walked out, the door clicking shut behind him. Sarah let out a breath she didn't know she was holding. Now you see, Arthur said quietly. He's dangerous, Sarah whispered. He is. Which is why you will work from home. You will have access to our servers via this. Arthur pushed a brand-new, high-spec laptop across the table, along with a secure hard drive. You will report only to me. Your name will not appear on any employee list. As far as Vincent is concerned, you're a low-level temp, checking for typos. He stood up. Your contract is for $20,000 for 3 months of work. The $500 was just the beginning. I need the truth, Sarah. Can you find it? Sarah looked at her daughter, playing happily. She looked at Leo, sleeping peacefully, his stomach full of the good formula she'd bought that morning. Then she looked at the picture of her grandfather that she kept in her wallet. We don't beg. She stood, too. I'm not a spy, Mr. Vance. I'm an accountant. I'm not asking you to be a spy. I'm asking you to do your job better than anyone else. This was her way out. Not a handout, but a fight. A fight she was trained for. I can find it, she said. I know. Arthur looked at her, and for the first time, his eyes softened. My father used to say that General Jensen could see the truth of a man just by looking at him. He said that kind of integrity was in the blood. I'm counting on it. Sarah Jensen, granddaughter of a hero, mother of 2, and now a secret auditor, picked up the laptop. When do I start? She asked. You already have, Arthur replied. The first few days were a blur for Sarah. Her small apartment, once a prison of desperation, became her command center. The $20,000 contract fee had been wired to her account. She paid her overdue rent. She paid the electric bill. She bought 2 weeks' worth of groceries. She bought Leo the expensive formula without even checking the price tag. The constant, grinding fear of how will I feed my children was gone. It was replaced by a new kind of fear. The laptop Arthur had given her was a fortress. She worked late into the night, long after Chloe was asleep, with Leo's bassinet by her feet. The apartment was silent, save for the click of her keys and the baby's soft breathing. She was no longer just an accountant. She was an archaeologist, digging through the digital ruins of Vincent Thorne's acquisitions. The $1.2 million slush fund was the tip of the iceberg. She found ghost employees on the payroll of acquired companies, their salaries routed to an offshore account. She found invoices for consulting services from a shell company that, after hours of cross-referencing, she found was registered to Vincent's brother-in-law. This wasn't just skimming. This was a sophisticated, multi-million-dollar operation. She felt sick. She was a bookkeeper from a 2-bedroom apartment. He was a powerful CFO. If he even suspected what she was doing, what would he do to a single mother with 2 children? She looked at the photo of General Jensen. Her grandfather had faced down enemies with guns. Her enemy used spreadsheets. Integrity. Sarah, she heard his voice in her head. It's just math. Find the truth. She saved her findings on the encrypted hard drive, making meticulous notes, documenting every step. She was building a case, brick by brick. Meanwhile, in his sterile office on the 50th floor, Vincent Thorne was uneasy. He had dismissed the consultant, Sarah Jensen. She was a nobody, a charity case Arthur had hired, probably out of some misplaced pity. But the lie Arthur told, a board request, had bothered him. Alan, Vincent said into his speakerphone, speaking to his head of IT security. The new audit protocol Arthur set up. I want to know what it's accessing. I can't see what, Mr. Thorne, Alan replied, his voice tinny. Mr. Vance used his executive credentials. The data stream is encrypted end-to-end, but I can see where it's looking. It's pulling massive data packets from the Austin merger files, specifically acquisition expenditures and vendor payments. All night, Vincent went cold. It was her, that tired-looking woman with the baby. She wasn't just checking for typos. Arthur had set a watchdog on him. She's a ghost, Vincent muttered, poking around in my house. Sir, I want you to track her login, Vincent commanded. I want to know the second she accesses the server. And I want you to prepare a new file. A honeypot. We're going to leak some new vendor invoices into the Austin file. Make them look tempting. Make them look like the exact kind of sloppy bookkeeping she's hunting for. What will they lead to? Alan asked. They will lead to a dead end, Vincent said, a cruel smile touching his lips. But they will also plant a tracker on her machine. I want to know who this ghost is, where she is, and exactly what she finds. It's time to see if she's smart enough to be a real threat, or just a stray dog Arthur picked up. The pressure was getting to Sarah. She was home, but she was barely present. She made Chloe breakfast, her eyes scanning the laptop screen. She fed Leo, her mind tracing wire transfers. One afternoon, Chloe came home from school and slumped at the kitchen table. How was school, honey? Sarah asked, her fingers flying across the keyboard. Fine. Did you finish your math homework? Yes. The silence stretched. Sarah, sensing the mood, finally looked up. Chloe was just staring at the table, her blonde hair hiding her face. Chloe? What's wrong? Chloe didn't answer. Sarah's heart clenched. She got up, knelt by her daughter's chair, and gently pushed her hair back. Chloe's eyes were red. Sweetie, talk to me. It's just, Chloe whispered, her lower lip trembling. Ashley said my shoes are ugly. They're the ones from the church donation box. Everyone in my class has new light-up sneakers. Sarah's stomach dropped. The shoes. She had paid the rent and bought food, but she hadn't even thought about clothes. She had been so focused on the $40 million theft that she had missed her own daughter's quiet shame. And, Chloe continued, the words tumbling out, the field trip to the museum is next week. The permission slip is in my bag. It's $30. I told Ashley we couldn't go. She said, of course you can't. You're poor. Sarah pulled her daughter into a fierce hug, her own eyes burning with tears. The $500 from Arthur had felt like a miracle. The $20,000 contract had felt like a lifeline. But this was the reality. The wounds of poverty didn't heal overnight. Oh, baby, I'm so sorry, Sarah whispered into her hair. You're right. I've been busy. But you know what? She pulled back, wiping Chloe's tears. You are going on that field trip. And after school tomorrow, we are going to the mall. You are getting the brightest, most obnoxious light-up shoes they have. Chloe's eyes widened. Really? Really? Sarah's resolve hardened into steel. This wasn't just about integrity anymore. It wasn't just about helping Arthur Vance. It was about Ashley. It was about $30 field trips and light-up shoes. Vincent Thorne wasn't just stealing from a corporation. He was, indirectly, stealing her daughter's childhood. I promise, Chloe, things are going to be different. That night, she needed to clear her head, and she needed information. She called her brother, Mark. Sarah, hey, how are you? His voice was bright, energetic. It already had a Texas drawl. Hey, Mark. I'm good. I'm okay. How's the new job? I love it. Seriously, sis, it's the best move I ever made. The company's fantastic. Vance Holdings is backing us, and my new boss is a genius. A knot formed in Sarah's stomach. Oh yeah? Who's that? Our CFO, guy named Vincent Thorne. He flies in from headquarters. He's incredible. He took the whole leadership team out to a steak dinner. Said we're the future of the company. Sarah gripped the phone tighter. He seems generous. Totally. He's all about rewarding talent. He's exactly the kind of boss I've always wanted. Why? You heard of him? Sarah had to lie. It tasted like acid in her mouth. No, not really. Just, his name was on some paperwork I'm auditing for a new client. Small world. Well, if your client is working with him, they're in good hands, Mark said enthusiastically. Mark, listen, Sarah said, changing the subject, unable to hear any more. I know I said I didn't need help, but things were bad. Really bad. I know, Sarah. I should have seen it. I'll send you some money. No, she said too quickly. That's not why I'm calling. I'm okay. I got a big contract. I felt like I was lying to you by not telling you how bad it was. You're a Jensen, Mark said, his voice softening. You've got Grandpa's pride. But you don't have to do it all alone, Sarah. I'm here. She hung up the phone, her hands shaking. This was so much worse than she thought. If she exposed Vincent, she wasn't just exposing a criminal. She was shattering her brother's new life. She was taking down his hero. She turned back to the laptop. Her gaze fell on the encrypted hard drive. This was bigger than her, bigger than Mark. It was about the truth. She logged back into the server. She had to finish this. And as she logged in, a new folder appeared in the Austin directory. VTech future projections and unpaid invoices, urgent. It was sloppy. It was obvious. It was exactly what she was looking for. It was the trap. Sarah stared at the new folder. VTech future projections and unpaid invoices, urgent. Her heart was pounding, but not with excitement. It was with suspicion. She was a meticulous accountant. Vincent Thorne, for all his crimes, was also meticulous. He was a man who buried millions in sophisticated shell companies and ghost payrolls. He would not suddenly get sloppy. He would not leave a folder marked urgent full of unpaid invoices sitting in the open. It was bait. He had dismissed her in person, but he was a man who left nothing to chance. He must have realized someone was digging. This was a test. Or worse, a trap. He wanted to see what she would do. He was probably tracking this folder. If she opened it, he would know. He might have even embedded a tracker in the files, something that could infect her secure laptop, see her screen, or track her location. Sarah looked at the laptop Arthur had given her. It was her lifeline. She couldn't risk it. She shut it down. "Chloe," she called out, her voice calm. "I have to run to the library to print some things. Mrs. Petrov next door is going to listen for Leo. I'll be back in an hour." The public library was 10 blocks away. It was old, smelled of paper and floor wax, and, most importantly, had a row of public access computers. Sarah sat down at a terminal in the corner. She used the library's Wi-Fi to log into a temporary, anonymous cloud-based server, a trick she'd learned in a forensic accounting seminar. From there, she remotely accessed the Vance Holdings server. She was now a ghost inside their system, her IP address completely masked. She navigated to the urgent folder. She didn't open the files. Instead, she examined their properties, the metadata, and there it was. Embedded in the comments section of the main spreadsheet, a single string of code. A tracking pixel. It was designed to report back to a specific server the second the file was opened. A server she quickly traced to Vincent's personal IT vendor. He wasn't just watching the folder. He was trying to plant a bug. Sarah almost smiled. He had underestimated her. He thought she was just a tired mom, a low-level temp. He had no idea who he was dealing with. She logged out. She walked home. That night, she put her plan into action. She turned her secure laptop back on. She logged into the Vance server. She clicked on the bait folder. She downloaded the files, triggering the tracker. She knew Vincent, or his IT man, Alan, would be watching. She had to give them a show. She spent 2 hours analyzing the fake invoices. She then opened a new document on her laptop, a document she titled Audit Report, Preliminary. She wrote, "Preliminary findings show significant discrepancies in the VTech unpaid invoices folder. Several vendors appear fraudulent, with payments authorized by a junior manager. This points to potential mid-level fraud. Estimated impact, $85,000. She made it sound competent, but not brilliant. She made it sound like she had found exactly what he wanted her to find. She made it seem like her investigation would now focus on this $85,000 red herring. She saved the file, closed her laptop, and went to bed. On the 50th floor, Alan, the IT head, forwarded the alert to Vincent Thorne, who was enjoying a late-night scotch in his penthouse. She took the bait, Mr. Thorne. Alan's email read, "The tracker is active. We can now see her local file directory. Attached is a screen cap of the report she's writing. She's chasing the $85,000. Vincent laughed out loud. $85,000. It was perfect. He had been worried for nothing. This Sarah Jensen was exactly what he thought. A book pusher, not a hunter. She was no threat at all. Good, Vincent replied. Let her chase it for a few more days. Then, Arthur can pay her for her audit, and she can go back to her pathetic life. End her server access on Friday. I'm tired of this distraction." He took a sip of his scotch. He was already thinking about his next acquisition. For the next 3 days, Sarah was the model of a bad investigator. She logged in, poked around the fake files, and made copious notes in her dummy report. But when she was offline, the real work began. She knew the tracker on her laptop was a liability, so she didn't use it. She went back to the library. Every day, for 3 hours, while Chloe was at school and a trusted neighbor watched Leo, Sarah used the public terminals. Vincent was expecting her to be digging in the Austin acquisition. He was watching the front door, so Sarah went around to the back. She stopped looking at the subsidiaries. She started looking at the parent company, Vance Holdings. She wasn't looking for stolen money. She was looking for wash money. Where did the money go after it was stolen? She bypassed accounts payable. She bypassed acquisitions. She went to a place she knew no one ever audited with any real scrutiny: corporate philanthropy. Vance Holdings donated tens of millions of dollars a year. It was good PR. She pulled the master list of donations. The opera, the ballet, the children's hospital, all legitimate. Then she started cross-referencing the donation dates with the dates of Vincent's acquisitions. January 10th, Austin acquisition closes. January 12th, Vincent authorizes $1.2 million transfer from Austin restructuring slush fund. January 14th, Vance Holdings makes a $1.2 million donation to the Trident Maritime Foundation. The amount was an exact match. Sarah's blood ran cold. This was it. She had never heard of that foundation. She searched the IRS database of registered nonprofits. Nothing. She searched state databases. Nothing. It was a shell. A very, very good one. She did one last search. She looked for the foundation's registration papers. She found them, filed in the Cayman Islands. The listed president of the foundation was an attorney. But the corporate signatory, the man with authority over the bank account, was Vincent Thorne. He wasn't just stealing the money. He was routing it through the company's own charity books, claiming a tax deduction for it, and then pocketing it in an offshore account. He hadn't just built a slush fund. He had built a revolving door. She saved everything to the encrypted hard drive, the wire transfers, the Cayman registration, the signature pages. She had the smoking gun. She had the bullet. She had the fingerprints. She picked up her phone. She texted Arthur. I have it. All of it. He's washing the money through the corporate philanthropy accounts. I have the account numbers. We need to meet. Not at your office. Not at my home. The diner on 5th and Grand. Tomorrow, 9 a.m. Come alone. The next afternoon, Sarah left the library. But she didn't go straight home. She went to the bank and withdrew $100. Then she went to the mall. Chloe met her after school, her face still carrying that quiet, resigned sadness. What are we doing here, Mom? You'll see. Sarah walked her into the children's shoe store. Go ahead, Sarah said, pointing to the wall of sneakers. What? Pick a pair. Any pair. Chloe's eyes went wide. She pointed, her finger trembling slightly. Those. They were magnificent. They were bright pink, covered in glitter, and had plastic, light-up butterflies on the heels. They were, Sarah thought, the most wonderfully tacky shoes she had ever seen. Good choice. 10 minutes later, Chloe was walking out of the store, her feet flashing pink and white with every step. She wasn't walking. She was stomping. Stomping to see the lights. A huge, brilliant smile was plastered on her face. Ashley is going to freak out, Chloe breathed, her voice full of awe. Sarah took her daughter's hand. The shoes were just shoes. But they were also a promise. She had told Chloe things would be different. She was going to keep that promise. She was done being scared. She was done being poor. She was General Jensen's granddaughter. And tomorrow, she was going to war. The diner on 5th and Grand was a relic. It had cracked vinyl booths, a long Formica countertop, and a waitress who looked like she'd been working there since it opened. It smelled of old coffee and frying onions. It was the last place on earth anyone would look for a CEO worth billions. Sarah arrived at 8:50 a.m. She took a booth in the back, facing the door. She had Leo and his carrier at her feet. She had the encrypted hard drive in her coat pocket. Her hand rested on it. At 9 a.m. on the dot, Arthur Vance walked in. He looked completely out of place. His tailored overcoat probably cost more than the diner's monthly profits. He scanned the room, saw her, and slid into the booth opposite her. He looked tired. He looked stressed. The waitress came over. What'll it be, folks? Coffee, black, Arthur said. Just water, please, Sarah said. The waitress left. Arthur leaned forward. You said you have it. Sarah didn't say anything. She just slid the small, encrypted hard drive across the table. It's all on there, she said, her voice low. He's not just stealing. He's washing it. He's using the company's own philanthropy accounts. Arthur frowned. What? He set up a shell? A fake nonprofit called the Trident Maritime Foundation. It's registered in the Caymans. He's the signatory. She explained it, step by step. How he stole from the acquisition funds. How he transferred the exact same amounts to his fake charity, disguised as a corporate donation. He's been claiming a corporate tax deduction for the money he steals, Sarah finished. He's stealing from you. Then he's using your own books to get a tax break on the theft. It's It's almost brilliant in a sick way. Arthur Vance sat back, his face pale. This was worse than he could have imagined. Skimming was one thing. This was a fundamental betrayal. He had been proud of his company's charitable giving. Vincent had turned his father's legacy into a personal laundromat. The waitress brought the coffee. Arthur stared into the black liquid. "How did you find this?" he asked, his voice a low rumble. "He's been watching you. My IT head told me Vincent's team planted a tracker. They said you were chasing an $85,000 ghost." "I let them think that," Sarah said simply. "I let them watch my laptop. I did the real work at the public library. He thought I was a temp. He thought I was stupid. He underestimated me." Arthur looked at her, really looked at her. The tired, desperate woman from his office was gone. In her place was a sharp, cold-eyed analyst. He saw the shadow of her grandfather in her profile. That same unshakable, clear-eyed focus. Integrity in the blood. "He's not the only one who underestimated you," Arthur said. "I did too. I hired you to find a leak. You found a conspiracy. He's a criminal, Mr. Vance. He's not just an embezzler. He's a fraud. The evidence is all there. Wire transfers, bank codes, the Cayman registration papers with his signature." "What about your brother?" Arthur asked quietly. "Mark. He loves his new job. He admires Vincent." Sarah flinched. This was the part that had kept her up all night. "My brother is a good man," she said, her voice tight. "He's also a victim. Vincent is using him, just like he's using everyone else. The truth is the truth. Mark will have to see it. I won't let my family be a shield for that man." Arthur nodded, a new, cold resolve settling in his features. He had been hesitant. He had worried about the board, the stock. But this was personal. "What do you need?" Arthur asked. "I need you to call a full, emergency meeting of the board. Today, not in the main conference room. Get them to your private study. I need him to feel comfortable. I need him to walk into a room he can't control. And then you let me present my findings," Sarah said. "He won't be able to run. He won't be able to hide. It's just math. And the numbers don't lie." Arthur took a sip of his coffee. It was bitter and burnt, but it felt right. He pulled out his phone. "Martha," he said into the phone, "clear my schedule. Get every board member to my personal study in 2 hours. Tell them it's a matter of corporate survival. And find Vincent Thorne. Tell him I need him there." Immediately, he hung up. He looked at Sarah. 2 hours, he said. Sarah picked up the baby carrier. "I'll be there." As she walked out of the diner, Arthur watched her go. A 10-year-old girl's mistaken text had just saved his entire company. Vincent Thorne was annoyed. He had been pulled out of a very important lunch. An emergency board meeting? In Arthur's private study? It was irregular. It was messy. He smoothed his tie as he rode the private elevator up. He was sure this was just Arthur having another panic attack about the merger. He would have to calm him down, as usual. He felt a flicker of annoyance at the Sarah Jensen problem. He had told Alan to cut her access this morning. That distraction was over. He walked into Arthur's study. It was a dark, wood-paneled room, filled with books. The board members, 5 of them, all older, powerful men and women, were already seated. They looked confused and concerned. "Arthur," Vincent said, projecting calm. "What is this? You've pulled everyone out of their day. Thank you for coming, Vincent. Please sit." Arthur's voice was cold. He was standing by the fireplace, next to his assistant, Martha. And next to Martha was Sarah Jensen. She was holding a baby carrier. She was dressed in her simple navy blazer. She looked completely, utterly out of place. Vincent's blood ran cold. "What is she doing here?" he asked, his voice losing its smoothness. "This is a secure meeting. Arthur, what is the meaning of this?" "This," Arthur said, "is Ms. Sarah Jensen. You remember her. The low-level temp I hired." "This is absurd," Vincent said, looking at the board. "She's a consultant, a nobody. She has no place here. She is the granddaughter of General Michael Jensen," Arthur said. The name landed with weight. 2 of the board members had served with him. They sat up straighter. "And she," Arthur continued, "is the only person who has saved this company from ruin. Vincent, we are here to discuss your resignation." The room went absolutely silent. Vincent laughed. It was a short, sharp, ugly sound. "My resignation? Arthur, are you having a breakdown? On what grounds? My projections are perfect. The company has never been more profitable." "Your profits," Arthur said, "are a lie. This is slander. You'll be hearing from my lawyer. You're bringing this This waitress in here to accuse me. He pointed a shaking finger at Sarah. A desperate, broke single mother you hired out of pity. What did you offer her, Arthur? How much did you pay her to say this? Sarah stepped forward. She placed a single, encrypted hard drive on the massive mahogany table. I'm not here to accuse you of anything, Mr. Thorne, she said. Her voice was clear. It did not tremble. I'm here to show the math. This is insane, Vincent shouted. Quiet, Vincent, said Eleanor Hayes, the oldest board member. Let her speak. For the next 20 minutes, Sarah spoke. She plugged the drive into the room's monitor. She did not use emotional language. She did not raise her voice. She just showed them the spreadsheets, the slush funds, the ghost employees, and then the final stroke, the Trident Maritime Foundation. Mr. Thorne didn't just steal $40 million over 5 years, Sarah explained, her cursor hovering over the final wire transfer. He disguised it as corporate charity. He stole the money. Then he used the theft to claim a tax deduction for the company. A deduction that, I found, was used to justify his own executive performance bonus. A board member gasped. She's lying. Vincent roared, lurching to his feet. The files are fakes. She's a hacker. The files are from your own server, Vincent, Arthur said. She found the ones you didn't plant for her. The $85,000 honeypot was a nice touch. But she's smarter than that. Vincent's face went white. He knew. He knew he was caught. He looked around the room, his eyes wild. He was trapped. He saw no allies. He saw only cold, disgusted faces. He turned, his gaze landing on Sarah. It was filled with pure, unadulterated hate. You, he hissed. You did this. He took a step toward her. Arthur moved, but Sarah stood her ground. You think you're a hero? Vincent sneered. What about your brother? Mark? Your stupid, naive brother. He loves his job. He loves me. When I am gone, this entire division, this Austin project, it collapses. His job is gone. You didn't just ruin me. You ruined your own family. You're just like your mother. A failure. A broke, pathetic failure who takes everyone down with her. Sarah looked at him. She felt no fear. She felt no anger. She only felt a kind of quiet pity. My brother will be fine. He's a Jensen, she said. We don't lie. We don't steal. And we are not failures. She then looked at the board. The originals of all these files are with Mr. Vance's private legal counsel. The SEC and the IRS will be notified this afternoon. Your own internal security logs will show every step I took. It's all there. Vincent Thorne stared at her, his chest heaving. He was done. The precision of it, the absolute, cold-blooded completeness of her work. It was perfect. He had been dismantled, not by a rival, but by an accountant. By a 10-year-old girl's mistake. He slumped into his chair. He said nothing. Vincent, Arthur said, his voice like iron. Security is outside. You will be escorted from the building. Do not go home. The police will be waiting for you there. Security escorted Vincent Thorne from the study. The silence he left behind was heavy. The board members looked at Sarah, who was calmly gathering her things, as if she hadn't just decapitated the company's second-in-command. Eleanor Hayes, the eldest board member, rose slowly from her chair. Ms. Jensen, she said, her voice raspy with emotion. I served on a charity board with your grandfather. He was a man of profound integrity. He would be impossibly proud of you. Thank you, ma'am, Sarah said quietly. She picked up Leo's carrier. The baby had slept through the entire meeting. Sarah, Arthur said, stepping forward. He, too, looked stunned. Go home. Martha will arrange a permanent car service for you. Take the rest of the week. Take the month. We need to process this. And we have a vacancy to fill. Sarah simply nodded. She was too tired to talk. She was an accountant, not a corporate executioner. As she walked out, the board members rose to their feet. It wasn't a standing ovation. It was a gesture of respect. That night, her apartment felt small, but it was finally safe. Chloe was asleep, her new light-up shoes by her bed, flashing faintly in the dark. Sarah sat on her couch, the same couch where she had wept in desperation, and called her brother. Mark. Sarah. What's going on? His voice was panicked. I just got an alert. The Austin division is frozen. They arrested Vincent Thorne. They're saying it's fraud. It's not true, is it? Sarah took a deep breath. Mark, it is true. All of it. I'm the one who found it. There was a long, terrible silence on the line. You? He finally whispered. How? What do you mean, you? He was a criminal, Mark. He was stealing millions. He was using everyone, including you. I feel like an idiot, Mark said, his voice cracking. I told you he was a hero. I'm going to lose my job, aren't I? No, Sarah said, her voice firm. You're not. I've already spoken to Arthur Vance. The Austin division is solid. It just needs honest leadership. He knows you're a good man. You're a Jensen, and he needs someone there he can trust. Mark was quiet for a moment. You saved me, he whispered. No, Mark. We saved each other. 1 month later, Sarah walked Chloe to her new school. It was a private academy with brick buildings and green lawns. Chloe, wearing her new uniform and her light-up shoes, which she refused to give up, ran ahead to join a group of new friends, laughing. Sarah watched her go, a smile on her face, before walking 2 blocks to the Vance Holdings Tower. She rode the private elevator to the 50th floor. She walked past the CFO's old office, which was dark and empty, and into a newly created office. The glass door read, Sarah Jensen, Head of Internal Audit and Risk Management. Leo was in the company's executive daycare, and her new salary was more than she had ever made. Her desk was clear, save for 2 framed photos. One was of Chloe and Leo. The other was her grandfather, General Jensen, in his full-dress uniform. Arthur Vance stopped by her door. Settling in, Sarah? It's a lot to get used to, she said, motioning to the panoramic view. You've earned it. By the way, he said, I've been meaning to give you this. A housewarming gift for the office. He handed her a small, elegant silver frame. Sarah looked at it. It wasn't a photo. It was a screenshot of a text message, printed on high-quality paper. Uncle Mark, it's Chloe. Mom won't ask. We need $40 for Leo's formula. Sarah looked up, confused. I keep a copy on my own desk, Arthur said, his voice soft. It reminds me that my entire company, my father's legacy, was saved by a 10-year-old girl who just needed to feed her brother. Tears welled in Sarah's eyes. She placed the frame on her desk, right next to her grandfather. It reminds me, Sarah said, her voice steady, that you should always double-check the number before you hit send. Arthur smiled. Welcome to the company, Ms. Jensen. He left her to her work. Sarah sat back in her chair, the little girl's desperate text sitting beside the general's proud gaze. She looked out the window, at the whole city stretching before her, and for the first time in her life, she felt truly, completely safe. And that's where we'll leave Chloe, Sarah, and Arthur. A reminder that sometimes the right number is the one you dialed by mistake. My hope is that this story gave you a moment of escape, a chance to step away from the everyday. I'd love to know where this story found you. Maybe you were settling in with a cup of tea or just winding down for the night. Drop a line in the comments. And if you want to make sure you catch the next one, please hit like and subscribe. We're always trying to make these stories better, so feedback is always welcome. Thank you for being here with me today.